think that should be enough to take that base down out at the south, and that's what Nara needs to focus on. He needs to eliminate that gas, and we have seen against other Zerg opponents in previous games that's exactly what Nara has done. He has taken out those bases, and what Yellow needs is lurkers. Yellow needs to have a couple of lurkers at that base in the south to defend it. Once he has a couple of lurkers, it's going to be very, very hard for Nara to break his defense. But Yellow doing a great job of keeping Nara pinned back in his base with those Mutalisks. He might not be inflicting a lot of damage in terms of hurting Nara's economy, hurting his SCVs, hurting his Marines, but he is keeping Nara pinned back. In other games, we've seen Terran's been able to expand and take that expansion at 3 o'clock to the south of the base. Certainly, Nara is not being allowed to do that here. And Nara finally moving out with his medic and Marine force, finally feeling that he has enough in his base to defend it from Yellow's roaming Mutalisk, and Yellow is already taking to hive. So Yellow's got his Queen's Nest up, and he's already taking to hive. So we can expect to see tier 3 units soon for Yellow, and that's very, very bad for Nara. Nara needs to do something to change the game now. He's allowing Yellow to contain him for too long in his base, and again you can see that Yellow's Mutalisk micro isn't really the best. Nara is defending very, very well with his Marines and his turrets. He's got those turrets positioned very well, and Yellow has just lost about 4 or 5 Mutalisks without doing any damage. But I think Yellow will be satisfied with that. He has got the 3 gas, he has got 3 hatcheries, so he is able to replace his losses quite comfortably. And Nara only has now got his factory up. He still hasn't got that machine shop up, and he's building that starport. So I wouldn't be surprised if he just didn't go for a tank at all, if he just went straight for science vessels and Marines. And Yellow continuing to harass Nara, continuing to force him to come back and defend. But Nara has now got enough Marines in his base, and he's finally moving out. This is something he should have done a long time ago, and he's finally moving out towards the south to try and take down that base of Yellow's. But he's going to find it fortified. Yellow's building another 2 Sunkens, so Yellow's going to have 5 Sunkens there, even though they're not in line. Nara's going to find it very, very hard to break this. And Yellow does have a lot of Mutalisks as well, and they will help his Sunkens. And Yellow going for a greater spire, so Yellow has enough gas to actually be able to go for mass Guardians here, and Yellow going for a greater spire, so that's a very unique and innovative strategy. But I still think that he's going to need a few lurkers if he's going to be able to hold those Marines off. And Yellow, brilliant micro there from Yellow. He picked off the medics just as it was coming through the end of the thing there, end of the choke there, and he also picked up a couple of Marines, just holding Nara at that choke point, preventing his Marines from getting the spread of the attack on his Mutalisks. And he's now bought it, and he bought himself enough time with that maneuver to actually get those lurkers up. I don't know if that was fortuitous or if that was just a moment of absolutely brilliant timing by Yellow that allowed him to pull out that maneuver. And Yellow has now got lurkers and Zerglings up as well, and this game is fast slipping away from Nara's grasp. He needs to do something to change this game around right now. Yellow's got his defilers den up, he's got his hive up, and Nara is in serious trouble here. He's going to find, and Yellow's actually going to try and trap that medic and Marine force and take it out before it has a chance to retreat and reunite with his main army, because Nara realizes that he's not going to be able to kill. And Yellow actually going in at Nara's main. He's buried lurkers and he's buried Zerglings there, and Yellow actually preventing Nara's army from reuniting, and Nara is going to find himself in trouble here because his forces are splintered. He is building a couple of starports, so you can expect him to try and produce mass science vessels to try and counter the fact that Yellow has a lot of gas, and Yellow once again with those Mutalisks trying to pick off that SCV. Again, I have to say that even though Yellow does seem to be in control of the game thus far, and Yellow needs to micro those lurkers, he needs to bury them, and he buries them. Nara doesn't seem to have scan, or either that or he's saving up his scan for a critical moment, but he didn't scan those lurkers. He could have taken them out because they were spread out and they were slow to bury. And Yellow's actually morphing Guardians above Nara's natural expansion now, and Nara's going to find himself in a huge world of trouble. He actually has nothing to combat those Guardians. He was building those 2 starports. He should have science vessels popping out very soon, but he's hardly going to have enough energy to irradiate. He does have one science vessel, so he might be able to irradiate a single lurker. And Nara with a brilliant pincer movement, taking out those 3 lurkers that were buried outside his natural expansion from both sides. But he's now finding his natural expansion coming in attack from those Guardians, and he has absolutely nothing apart from 1 science vessel to kill the Guardians. He might be able to irradiate 1, but that's all he's going to be able to kill. And he's now lost his 2nd gas, so that's really going to hurt him in terms of the production of science vessels. He needs to produce something here to try and hurt those Guardians. One of the Guardians goes down, but that's not going to be enough. Yellow continuing to pound Nara's base, and you have to feel that the game is firmly in Yellow's favor now. And defilers, Yellow has his defilers, and he's put up a swarm above those lurkers, and he is now going to be advancing upon Nara's main. And again, Nara just being overrun, literally, is the word that we can use here, because of the fact he just does not have enough science vessels to combat Yellow's attack. He does not have enough science vessels to kill the Guardians. He does not have enough science vessels to kill the Defiler. He managed to irradiate one of the Defilers, but Yellow had an extra one, and the fact that Yellow had that 3rd hatchery in the expansion, the fact that Yellow defended, the fact that Yellow has the extra gas, the fact that Yellow has tech fastest allowed him to dominate this game. And really, this is shocking for me to see Yellow dominating in this manner. I really did not expect this at all. I expected this to be a closely fought game at best, with Nara overcoming Yellow. And again, you can see Yellow's Scourge micro not completely up to scratch there, not the kind of micro that we would expect to see from someone like Savior, but yeah, you can forgive him for that. You can accept the fact that he is a little bit rusty, and I have to say that at this stage this game looks unwinnable for Nara. It looks completely unwinnable, and Nara with a couple of raids, and they're going to get taken out by Scourges, brilliant by Yellow. He accounted for those raids, and those Guardians are going to keep picking off Nara's forces as they pop out of those barracks, preventing him from reinforcing his choke, where he has a handful of struggling units left, and this is over. Nara knows that there is not much he can do now. He just has a single science vessel, and Yellow is just going to stream into his base and finish him off. So a resounding victory by Yellow, an emphatic victory. Yellow completely stamping his authority all over this game in an emphatic, unchallengeable fashion. And you know, I have to say, Nara didn't really do anything that badly in that game. I would say that in terms of mistakes, the critical mistake he made was allowing that expansion at the south to survive. He was overconfident in that proxy barracks he had, and therefore he did not go for it. Had he gone fully for that expansion with his initial medic and marine force, I think this would have been a different game. So you can say that Nara did make a little bit of a mistake in that respect. However, at the same time, Yellow did a great job of defending it. He did have those mutalisks up, so even if Nara had gone early, he might have had that medic and marine force picked off by mutalisks, and Yellow did have a couple of sunkas there to defend it. So I think that was probably the key turning point in the game, the defense of the expansion at 5 o'clock by Yellow, the fact that Nara didn't go for it. And Nara, I think, maybe falling prey to a little bit of overconfidence here. He was happy to sit back in his base, happy to allow Yellow control of the map. He didn't venture out for too long, and maybe I'm being unfair to Yellow. Maybe I'm not giving Yellow enough credit for the fact that Yellow did control the game very, very well. He did keep Nara pinned back in his base for long periods of time, even though his Mutalisk micro wasn't amazing in terms of picking off Nara's economy. He did slow Nara down enough to have that control over his game, and one has to wonder, is this going to be the start of a return for Yellow? Certainly from that game, he looks to be as good as ever. Certainly doesn't look to be out of it. Certainly doesn't look like the player that people will be talking about as being a has-been, and that was an absolutely fantastic display on Taucross of Zerg play by Yellow, and I am really, really impressed. GG guys, I hope you guys enjoyed that game. That was definitely a fantastic game to watch. This is Kazart, thanks for listening.
첫 번째 세트를 가져내 성공한 K10 매치였습니다. 바로 이런 경기가 명예전당에 혼납될 만한 그런 경기 아니겠습니까?
네, 오랜만에 출전 부담되는 경기에서도 네,